It's not complicated, in my opinion, to connect the dots between these massive spending bills, multi-trillions, and the fact that we have inflation. Because you dump all that money in the economy, that's going to cause prices to rise.
5 of the $7.5 trillion were passed under Donald Trump. So how do you reconcile that?
Easily one of the biggest obstacles that we face in politics is there being a lot of data and statistics, but not a lot of context behind it. So it could be easy for people to say, and I'll give a few examples. So, for one, recently, like inflation, it's easy to say, well, when Trump was in office, inflation was down and now it's up. Biden's in office. It must mean that, inflation's better under Republicans. Not going into how inflation's actually high because of the supply chain crisis and things being slowed down and caught up, inflation being high all over the world. And then another good example is like Bill Clinton, for instance. While he was in office, the economy was, relatively strong. But the policies that he put in place weakened the economy later. It worsened the prison industrial complex later. It resulted in more Black and brown people being thrown in prison. So a lot of the times, the data that's available for people to look at doesn't necessarily correlate to some type of simple answer, like Republicans good, Democrats good, or Republicans bad, Democrats bad. There's all types of stuff going on in this huge giant machine, which again is one of the bigger obstacles in politics. But now that little disclaimer is out of the way, let's get serious. The Republicans, they ain't talking about nothing, and that's the whole reason that they always do this.
Well, look, there was, and by the way, I was opposed to most of those spending bills, but you're right. Republicans are not blameless here, Martha. I mean, Austin is right here. The politicians of both parties have spent too much money, but when are we going to do something about it? The Democrats, I mean, as we speak, the president is trying to move forward with the $500 billion bailout of student loans. I mean, it just never ends.
Fortunately and unfortunately for them, all their base cares about is owning the libs, sticking it to the libs, which goes along a lot of the strategy that I'm always talking about here is why, well, okay, let's stick it to the conservatives. Let's give them a taste of their own medicine. Because often when you do that, they run away crying and screaming because they ain't talking about nothing. We're the ones talking about improving the systems that we have to live under, whether that be how much money and benefits we have access to, the quality of our healthcare, education, all the things that we are well aware of that need improvements, infrastructure, things like that. But conservatives, they're overwhelmingly worried about whoever their big man is, whoever their champion is at the moment. That's why Donald Trump remains the most popular person in the party, even though, the walls are crumbling and weakening around him and underneath him. He still is as popular as he is because Republicans don't care about reality.
But I think they're saying that he's not addressing what matters to them. He's talking about other things. He keeps coming out, Steve, and saying, wow, look at what we've done with the deficit. And people say, yeah, but ketchup is $8.
Now, the reality is that the biggest challenge that the Democrats have, not just with the midterms coming up soon, but in the 2024 elections, is the state of the economy. It is a mess, and it has been a mess for quite some time, but they have to get better at their messaging, which is where Democrats typically are weak. Democrats have to, let people know, like, hey, we passed the CHIPS Act, which the Republicans voted against. Republicans voted against solving the baby formula issue. They voted against gay marriage. They voted against contraception. This is what the Democrats need to be parroting constantly, as well as all the things that, Joe Biden has done. Passing student loan debt, not fully, but enough for tens of millions of people. The Republicans are trying to reverse that. It's like, okay, well, what are y'all doing in the place of that? Absolutely nothing. Obviously, the Republicans just reversed Roe v. Wade. The Democrats, obviously, well, they have been going ham with that. But this really isn't that difficult. It's just that we're dealing with corporate Democrats. So that's why it's up to us to really, really do our best to push the Democrats in the right direction, but even better, get better candidates in office. So that's what we need to be thinking about and worried about in the coming midterms in a few weeks. But overall, we just got to give conservatives and Republicans a taste of their own medicine.